Phoenix Promotional Solutions, 368-2404.
Ocala's information station, 1370 WOCA.
Ocala.
All right, 5 minutes after 10 o'clock. Thank you for tuning in. We're going to talk about love, bro.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about love. Finding love.
I like that topic.
There's a thing going on at the Ocala Civic Theater where they're asking for couples that have been married. Is it 50 years?
Yes.
Couples that have been married 50 years to each other, not to like three different partners over the course of it.
Right.
They're looking for couples to be given the red carpet treatment, more or less, at a play called I Do, I Do, I Do. And it's about a couple that actually has been married, 50 years or so in the storyline, right?
Yep.
And if you are one of those couples, then I would encourage you to go to the theater and sign up for that, because some of you will have a fun time. And they can't give one to everybody, but I guess they're doing a little contest. Mm-hmm. Well, what that has to do with our next guest and with our next interview is that very thing. I mean, if there's one thing, the one thing that we probably all want is to have at least one person in our life, at least, to have one person who you're going to say is with me till death do us part. You can't really say forever, because nobody really lasts forever. I reconnected with an old childhood friend earlier this year, and hadn't seen him probably since the 7th or 8th grade. Mm-hmm. He was married and happy, and in the course of those few months that I've known him, his wife was diagnosed with cancer and died. It was like very quick, and he kept everybody who was a friend of his on Facebook in touch with what was going on. And you just felt for this guy because he loved this woman so much. They loved each other so much, and now he's probably almost 60, as I am, and he's now alone. But at one point in their life, they hit it. They clicked, and it worked for them, and they were able to take it all the way till death do us part. Unlike me, who only made it 9 years. Did I even make it 9 years? I don't even know how long my marriage was.
Yeah,
anymore.
I think it was about 9.
Been so long ago.
Yeah.
But anyway, if you are interested in finding somebody to call your one and only, I love what I read in the promotional material about being in a trance-like state at the beginning of a relationship. Mm-hmm. I know this happens to us guys because we go head over heels. I don't know what you girls go through, but anyway, yeah, we're sometimes blinded by the light more or less. So he's created a very cool idea here based on his own experiences. So we benefit from his experiences. Well, maybe not me, but somebody maybe younger than me. Steve Brass is, in addition to being an author, a songwriter, a playwright, speaking of the theater, a business leader, a motivational speaker, and the founder of something called Street Smart Defense, which probably is good for you ladies if you're out with these guys that don't match up with the love match. The book is called Love Match, 50 questions to find your mate. So let's find out about this from Steve Brass. Good morning, Steve.
Good morning. How are you guys doing?
Pretty good. Where are you?
I'm in Tucson, Arizona.
Tucson. All right. Nice place to be. It's not cold there, is it?
This morning it's quite cold, actually.
Really?
It's warm up.
See, the whole country's cold except for us, Robin.
Yeah, I know. 80 degrees out here.
I think we're the only ones left out of this. I don't know if I should feel jealous or if I should ask you to feel jealous.
Yeah, it's coming.
Well, very nice.
So you had a situation. You went on an airplane ride thinking you were in love, and what happened? The girl told you forget about it?
Yeah. I mean, like many people, I was looking for love in all the wrong people. And I wasn't asking the questions early enough that are critical to long-term love matches. And so I began for myself to write down questions that I thought would lead me to compatibility. What were the questions that most people weren't asking early enough? And so I started interviewing lots of other couples, singles, divorced people, and all different ages. And to my amazement, people started sending all these questions. They said if I was to do it again, I would have asked a lot earlier.
Really?
Yeah.
Have you ever heard of this thing called, what's it called, rapid dating, or you sit for 5 minutes with somebody, then you move to another table? What is that called?
Speed dating.
Speed dating. Have you ever?
Dating, yes. Yeah, I've experienced that as well, and it's like being interviewed for the same job 12 times.
Yeah, that's gotta be.
All right, so we had some guests one time talking about this, and they were telling me what kinds of questions they would ask. And they were like, how much money do you make? What do you do for a job? What's your living? And then they said to me, what would you ask if you were with a woman? And I said, do you have any diseases? And they thought, well, that is so wrong. You can't ask that question. I said,
it's not wrong.
Well, why not? That's an important question for me to know the answer.
That's right. Exactly. Have to know.
Well, to that point, I mean, one of the questions in the book is, what is your state of health? And I think once you get to know someone, it's important to know, number one, do you like drive-through or are you into healthy eating? And sometimes that's a bone of contention. So if you meet someone who really doesn't care about their health and you do, that may present some problems down the road. And in the early stages, as you said in your intro, we fall into what I call a trance. We begin to project a fantasy of what we want love to be instead of what we found.
Right.
And we go through this dance in our own minds, and it creates, in some cases, very irrational decisions about what we think we have, and we never get to the nitty-gritty, which are we compatible, and do we have the stuff for a long-term relationship?
It just seems like people are afraid to go there, though, to open up that part of the communication, to get to the nitty-gritty of things. They always seem to talk around it, but don't ever delve into it.
I think you're absolutely right, and I'm not suggesting, in the first 5 minutes that you meet someone at a Christmas party this month that you start drilling them with all these questions. But I think having a checklist to know what you're looking for in a love match gives you an opportunity when you're talking with someone just to kind of, even to yourself, ask the questions and say, oh, well, that kind of lines up, that doesn't, that might be some area we could explore in time, so that you don't scare people off, but you come in what I call conscious, that you know what you want. So I did a workshop recently in a bookstore, and a lady came up to me and said, I'm in this relationship for over a year, he wants a friend with benefits, and I want a long-term committed relationship. I love this man. And I said, oh, well, that's pretty clear. And she said, what do you mean? I said, you're on two very different pages.
Definitely, yeah.
So you have to decide if this is not a love match for you.
Yeah.
Then the decision's real easy. But if you think you're going to change this man or force him onto your side, you're going to have short-term results.
Good
and a lot
for you.
Of people,
good advice, yeah.
Yeah, and a lot of people, they think, oh, give it time, I can change this person. No, you can't. You can discuss what you want, and then hopefully that person recognizes, oh, I want something similar, and then you can grow and explore together.
Yeah.
But I think it's quite dangerous to think, oh, yeah, I can change this person.
I think if we were two buds and we were talking to this young lady, we would say, yeah, definitely dump this guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Any guy who says, I want a friend with benefits, go to Vegas. That stays there, doesn't it?
That's
right.
Yeah.
Right.
Or women too. They have that attitude. They'll fall in love with a guy, and they won't, mess with his personality or his habits or anything. Then as soon as they get married, boy, she's in there trying to change him, this, that, and the other, and that's so wrong.
I agree. And one of the wonderful benefits when I began writing this book, I was single, but in the process, I met a woman who became my wife.
Did you ask her the 50 questions?
Absolutely, and it's interesting because
She interviewed.
not in the first date, let me tell you. But I'm told her I'm writing a book called Love Match: 50 Questions to Find Your Mate. And she said, "Yeah, right." She thought it was a pickup line, and I said, "No, seriously, I'm writing this book, and I'd love to share it with you." And she was game, and she said, "Great, send me some of the questions." So we began a phone-email relationship because we lived in two different cities. But I really began to see that we were on the same page very early. And then when we actually met, our first date was 5 days, which was also quite unique. And we spent 24 hours for 5 days together every day and got to know each other. And after that 5 days, I said to myself, this is so different from any other relationship because we had a chance to really see each other. Most people when they're dating spend an hour, 2 hours together, and they might see you a week later. They're on their best behavior.
Right.
Everyone's got their masks up. And they refuse to ask the questions. A gentleman, while I was writing the book, who's now in his early 70s, has been married 3 times. I said one of the pillars of compatibility is cash, talking about money.
Right.
He said, I am still uncomfortable at this age to broach the subject. And he'd been through 2 ugly divorces where he lost a lot of his life investments because he wouldn't address these questions earlier.
Well, okay, then there's a difference between men and women with the cash question, isn't there? I mean, do I need to know how much cash she has? I think it's more the other way around.
I think it's more important to discuss how you deal with money, not necessarily how much you have. So, if one of you is very conservative with your money and your spending habits, and the other person just runs up their credit card bill every month and doesn't really care about that debt, that's something that you want to keep in mind because if you decide to pursue this person and eventually marry them,
right.
that might be a big bone of contention.
So
one of the things my wife said to me after our first date, she called me and said,
5 days long.
After 5 days, And I said to her, hey, great, we had a wonderful time. She said, I just want to make sure we're okay with the money issue. And I said, what do you mean? She said, I want to make sure it was balanced. I didn't want you to be paying for everything. Now, I've never met anybody in my life who ever asked me that question. I've dated a lot of women. I've lived with a number of women. And that was very different for me. And I thought, wow, she wants us to be open and conscious, and we're both going to talk about the important issues.
Well, that's really one of the most important ones, because I know when my dad died, my mom didn't date for maybe 4 years, and then she fell in love with the fella, and before they got, really engaged or anything, that's what they did. They put all their finances on the table. They each had children, from their previous marriages, right. And they had to have everything up front because they had to know, if the other person was in debt, what their cash was, because they didn't want to have any secrets from each other. And it was wonderful. God bless their marriage, and they had an extremely open relationship.
And you want to know what this person is bringing to the party. And so, Love Match is based on 5 pillars of compatibility, and I'm happy to share them. The first one is chemistry.
Yeah.
And chemistry means more than just sexual attraction. That's usually what pulls us into the relationship. But if we don't stay awake and have a checklist and know what the other important components of a successful relationship are, then we get blinded by the chemistry, and then we realize somewhere down the road, usually after we've invested a lot of emotion, a lot of time, often cases a lot of money, we realize, I'm not compatible at all with this person beyond the sexual pull that we initially were attracted to. So are you intellectually and emotionally, do you have chemistry? A simple question like, do you share the same religious or spiritual beliefs is a good place to talk about. Because if you're on very different pages, that's okay, you might complement each other. But if you have very, very strong opinions about your religion, or lack of, and the other person doesn't share them, that can be a source of big conflict.
Yeah, no question about it. Just real quick, I want to interject a question about the questions.
Yeah.
When we sometimes are with somebody who wants to manipulate us, I don't, maybe that's too strong of a word in this case, but I'll use it because I can't think of a better one. They will also often answer the way they think we want to, they think we want to hear. Wouldn't that same thing happen in a dating situation? Like
absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
So I think it's really important that you're observing how they behave not only with you but with other people. So for example, I once dated a woman who on the first 3 dates always conveniently forgot her money.
Ah, there you go. Women do that.
This was a huge red flag.
Yes.
All of us can forget our wallet once. But 3 times there was a pattern here, and I thought, she just wants to go out and have a good time, and I'm going to pay for everything.
Yeah.
And I was
there you go.
Yeah. So that was a red flag. The other question, really, really important, is do your family and friends like them? Because they have no hidden agenda. They love you for who you are, and they know you, and they know your history. And if this new person comes along, and they're seeing all kinds of red flags, the question is, are you going to be open enough to hear them? Because if you've already fallen into the trance, and I talk a lot about that in Love Match, if you're already in the trance, you sometimes will not listen to anyone who knows you or cares about you, because you don't want to end the fantasy. And oftentimes it comes back to bite you, because and your friends hopefully are there to support you when it's over, but I'm not going to rub it in, but it's really important to look at the people who know you and love you to say, hey, what is your opinion of this person?
So the book is called 50 questions.
Love Match, 50 questions to find your mate.
Okay, Love Match, 50 questions. But yet you have 5 pillars. So each of the pillar has 10 questions, is that right?
Not necessarily.
Okay.
Some of the pillars have more. Like chemistry, for example, has 18 questions because I think it's a critical part.
Okay.
Another big area is communication. How do you communicate? And oftentimes people have very different ways of communicating. And again, that's okay if you're aware of it and they complement each other. But if you're someone who communicates very differently from the person that you're dating, eventually that's going to cause conflict.
So do you score this somehow? Do you wow, you got 45 right.
I don't want it to be that cold and that's that calculated. But at the end of every question, there's a space for you to write your thoughts and feelings based on how you're getting to know this person. And I encourage people, especially this time of year, people are out. It's a wonderful Christmas gift, by the way. A lot of people are buying this to give to their single friends, their newly divorced friends,
right.
people who, it truly is a caring gift. But it gives you a chance. A woman emailed me last week saying, I've started dating this man, and I bought your book, and we're using it together, and I'm amazed at how fast we're getting to know each other and how much we're realizing we're compatible. She said, I've never thought about approaching it this way before, and I've been banging my head for years going out with different people, and it never lasts.
So,
and I was so...
I didn't mean to interrupt you there. I just had a thought. I'm sorry.
Sure, go ahead.
Well, my thought is, and it's silly, I shouldn't have said anything, but my thought is that a great book could be a follow-up to this, where, like, if I were to date somebody with this book, okay, and let her have the book and write her thoughts about me, and then when she dumps me, that would be a great book to read. What the heck she wrote.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, hopefully, Larry, you don't have to wait that long. She's going to tell you early so you can you can work together, to get to the same place if you want to.
Okay, so that's part of it. Do you change? Does she write down something and says, you're spending a little bit too much time with that hobby of yours, and then you say, oh, okay, well, I can cut back on that. Do you do that kind of stuff?
I think life's a negotiation, and I think that you can't expect to change someone completely, but the fact that there may be areas that you really like this person, you have a lot in common, but there's some areas of concern. I think that's a wonderful opportunity to discuss it, especially before you start thinking about long-term or start planning a marriage, because oftentimes people are not conscious of what they're doing. For example, one of the questions in Love Match is what I call the dirty socks test. If you're a clean freak and your partner's a slob, eventually if you decide to live together or get married, it's going to drive you crazy.
It's exactly what happened to me.
Yeah, well, you need to discuss these things or observe these things.
Yeah.
I mean, I once dated a woman that her back seat was her office. There was
That's
paper.
my car.
Yeah, paper and files and clothes and garbage and bottles and
you mean of the car? Okay.
In the car, yeah.
Okay. I knew a woman whose backseat was her office too.
Yeah, but here's the interesting part.
She was expensive, an expensive woman. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
But then the first time I went to her home, it was exactly the same. There were pots on the floor in the middle of the kitchen.
Oh.
Yeah, she hadn't dusted in months.
Oh.
I thought, I can't live here.
No.
or with this type of person.
Okay.
So, anyway, I just want to say to people, if they're interested, this is available at Amazon.com or on Kindle if they want to download it as an ebook.
It's a fun. You're not leaving, are you? This is a fun conversation. No, okay. Good.
No, I'm not leaving. I'm just letting people know.
In the beginning, you asked me if we had a phone-in opportunity, and we do. So let me answer some of these calls because you do have the phones lighting up right now.
Okay, great.
And the number, if you don't know the number, is 622-WOCA. That is the WOCA Climate Control Source Hotline. And just for Steve's, so he knows why I said that, it's a sponsored phone line. Good morning. You're on the air with Steve Brass.
Hey, good morning, Steve. I just want to, kind of a curiosity thing more than anything else. Do you have an addendum to any of the chapters on how to deal with different ethnicities, you got to be correct in the way you ask questions, but I think you understand what I'm asking. It's just there's differences in that. How do you deal with that? And I'll hang up and get the answer, guy. Thanks.
Sure.
Okay.
I think one of the things that often causes people to be a little bit reluctant is just lack of experience or exposure to other cultures. And so if you find interest and you're attracted to somebody who maybe is from a different culture or background, it's a wonderful opportunity to get to know them, go slow, explore, share activities, meet their friends and family, ask the questions in the book because I think they're very, very appropriate. You may find that, hey, we have a lot more in common than I thought, and some of the stereotypes or some of the the biases you may have brought in before you actually had exposure to this person or to their culture will quickly disappear. I think the other thing is that regardless of whether you're from the same background or not, is if people are trying to... I participated in a workshop recently that talked about, are you debating the person or do you want to have a dialogue? And I think it's healthier to have a dialogue and listen to other people's points of view, and you'd be quite amazed at how much people actually share. If you go in thinking, I'm right, you're wrong, and I'm going to show you how, you're dead in the water.
Do you know, I knew a couple when I was much younger that he was a black man and she was a white woman, and they were, for all intents and purposes, in love. Decided not to marry because they thought it wouldn't be good for the children that would result. So they went their separate ways and married their own race and eventually divorced the people they married, had children with the people they married, And now, and as they approach 60, they're the same age as Robin and I. They're married. And because now they won't have children. So it was kind of an interesting thing to observe that took decades to actually see the whole story unfold. But these two fell in love, happened to be one black, one white, for the sake of, and the shame of it is the children would have been fine.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think the world's a lot different today.
Yeah, I think so.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I think people are much more open-minded, and the younger generation, I think, I'm in my 50s compared to when I was a kid, they're much more accepting of other cultures, partly because we have more exposure. We start to realize we have more in common than we don't.
You bring up commitment, and that really is really hard to do for some people, because once a relationship feels like it's starting to fall apart, people feel like it's easier just to quit instead of working at it. And the truth is, you have to work at everything every day. You just can't quit.
Absolutely. And I often talk to younger people who are about to get married, and I say, are you investing more time in a Broadway production marriage, the big extravagant marriage,
Right,
Mm-hmm.
right.
and how much time are you investing in your life together?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
people get sidetracked by all the things that you need to do to create this big show for a couple of hours for all your friends and family to see, and they've spent very little time and energy talking about how we're going to live our lives together.
It's the Cinderella moment, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
So did
And
you got married, right, Steve?
Yeah, I did, and we had the simplest. We got married on a mountaintop in Colorado with 5 people. We wrote our own vows. It took 20 minutes, and we went out for lunch at a nice restaurant with some close friends.
Wow.
And it was probably the most heartfelt experience I've ever had. And I've been to many weddings, and some of them were wonderful, and some of them you just thought, "Wow, I'm watching a Broadway show."
Yeah.
But where's the heart, and where's the longevity? And
I love your story about the 5-day date. I mean, that almost sounds like you went, to the mountains and your van went off the edge and you got stuck in the snow or something.
Yeah.
Well, what happened was I was living in a different city, and my wife Donna was vacationing in Colorado, and I'd never been to Colorado. So after about a month of talking on the phone and emailing and talking about our lives, and she said, "I'm going to be gone for a month." I said, "Well, I'd like to come and spend some time with you." She said, "Sure." And
Oh, wow,
so
great. That's a great story.
So I flew to Colorado, and the rest, as they say, is history. But, it was amazing. I came in prepared, knowing exactly what I wanted in a relationship. And that's actually the first question of Love Match. What kind of relationship are you seeking? Some people have no idea what they're looking for, so they'll either settle for less, or they don't know what their standard of care is. And I talk about that a lot in the book. What is your standard of care? How do you want to be treated? A lot of people would rather avoid being lonely and accept someone into their life who is not healthy for them than someone who goes in thinking, this is how I want to be treated, this is what
I
I'm
believe
willing
that's
to give.
true. Yeah.
Yeah, and this is what I'm willing to give someone else. And I think you need to know that about yourself and what you want. If you just say, well, whatever life brings is fine, I don't think that you're going to have much luck.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that, and would encourage anybody to avoid that circumstance that you just described. The book is called Love Match: 50 Questions to Find Your Mate. Steve Brass is the author. One of these days we'll listen to your music as well, Steve. How do we find out more about the book, about you? Maybe the music is online as well as the book. Am I right about that?
The book is at Amazon.com. You can go to my website, stevebrass.com. You'll learn a little bit more about me. I love to do workshops and talks for all kinds of organizations, and I think this time of year, especially, this book, Love Match, would make a great gift for someone.
It would, because you know what some people are saying, the new year's coming up. This year, I'm not going to be lonely. I'm going to find that one somebody, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I think you're right. This is a great tool, at least to get your mind in the right place, your head in the right place, because you gotta see beyond. You know what I loved about this conversation when you said, but the family's reaction to the person you've chosen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a really good way to look at what does my brother think of her? Hopefully he's not hot for her.
Your brother cares about you. Hopefully. And
hopefully, yeah.
and they've got no agenda. They're thinking, hey, I know you. I know your history with other people.
Right.
This person would be good for you. Or have you noticed this? Or are you aware of this? And that might bring you out of the trance.
Well, Steve, thank you for being on the air with us. A great conversation, and I'm looking forward to seeing the book. Again, it's called Love Match. Go to Steve's website, stevebrass.com. Go to Amazon and all the other places books are normally sold. Thank you, Steve. Thank you for being with us today.
Thank you very much, and happy holidays.
Thank you. You too. We'll take a little break and be right back.
With Disney annual passes, your family can experience magical holidays and excitement at all 4 Disney parks over and over again. And while lots of Florida residents are enjoying the magic year-round using the monthly payment program, you could win your passes from WOCA The Source. Enter now for your chance to win at WOCA.com and tune in every day for your cue to call in and enter to win 4 annual passes to Walt Disney World. Daily prizes include $50 Disney gift cards. So log on, tune in, and win from WOCA The Source.
Hi, I'm Yvette, and I'm here to tell you a few things about ABC Frederick's Appliance. They sell not only new, but used guaranteed appliances. When you call ABC Frederick's Appliance, they will provide service on what they sell and any appliances that you own. ABC Frederick's Appliance is located in Bellevue, right over the railroad tracks. Call 352-629-5181. That's 352-629-5181. That's 352-629-5181. ABC Frederick's Appliance.
Hi, this is Brad. I want to take a moment to talk about a serious issue. In the next 5 years, the aviation industry is projected to have a shortage of commercial pilots. Now is the time to start training. Ocala Flying Club has started a scholarship for the youth of Marion County ages 17 to 24. The club will donate up to $4,000 towards a pilot's license. This will help get the student on their way to obtaining their commercial pilot license. If this sounds like something you would be interested in, or if you know someone that would be, please contact Ocala Aviation Services, 861-7484.
Hi, I'm Leah Caruso with Strive Rehabilitation, inviting you to join me Thursday at 11 a.m. for Health Matters. Ocala Health and Strive have teamed up to bring you the latest information on good health services available to you right here at home. This vital information will help you make informed decisions about your health. So don't forget to join me here at 11 a.m. Thursday. It's news you can use from Ocala Health, Strive, and your friends here at WOCA.
Yes, George?
I'm going to Devon's Self-Storage.
You mean Devon's on 200 across from Hobby Lobby?
Yes. You know I have my own code to get in. If I have a question, I just call 873-0777.
Didn't you just go there last night?
Well, yes. They're open late.
Didn't you go Christmas shopping this weekend?
Yes.
Then you went to Devon's Self-Storage?
Yes.
George, what are you up to?
Bye.
George.
Ready or not, the holidays are here. And if you need a great gift idea, then give bottles of local wine from Island Grove Wine Company. They're locally owned and operated, so you can go visit the winery for a true wine experience. Located just north of Ocala off Highway 301, you can enjoy free tours and tastings. Open weekdays from